Well, I'm excited about this message. This message just has a different flavor. I literally feel like when I write a message, it's almost as close to God as I can get. Because I don't ever, his word, honestly, I could open up the Bible, I could just open up to any page, and we could just read that, and we'd all walk away like completely blessed. Because how many know every word of the Bible is true, it's amen, it's powerful, it can change our life. But I believe, this is just my personal belief, is that every month God has a specific word for the women that are going to be at IMAGO Day. I believe it with all of my heart. And so when I sit down to write a message, I'm like communing like as if I'm talking to my best friend. I'm like, God, what do you want to say to your girls? What do you want to say to your women? What do you want to say to IMAGO Day this month? Like, I'm listening. I want you just to speak. And it is so cool how he shows up every single month. It's like, there may not be very many things in my life I'm very clear about. IMAGO Day is one of them. He shows up. It is clear. And I love it. Honestly, that's probably why I do it every month. But this time, I was like, Lord, that was the most fun message to write with you. If we could make every message this fun, I had a blast writing this message with Jesus. I just want to tell you. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope that we are in for a ride, a journey tonight. So we're going to start off with a verse I'm sure most of you are familiar with. Whether this is your first time in church, whether it's your first time logging on online or first or not, I bet you've seen this plastered across some poster at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Target. It might even be on your journal. And it's out of Isaiah 40:31. And I'm going to use the Message translation version for this. And it says, "But those who wait upon God get fresh strength." How many are familiar with this verse? Just raise your hands. Yeah, okay, good. All right, we're all together here. "They spread their wings and they soar like eagles. They run and don't get tired. They walk and don't lag behind." Man, we all love that verse, but we've seen it everywhere, right? I only have 2 points for tonight. My first point is this: those who wait upon the Lord. Those who wait upon the Lord. So I had to go and look up, okay, God, when you wrote the Bible, what did you mean by wait? What was the real word there? Because I don't like that word, and I'm just hoping it means something different than actually waiting. And I found that the Hebrew word, which is what the Old Testament was written in, it was originally written in Hebrew, it's this word, it's called kavah. And kavah means to bind together, perhaps by twisting. Wait. Wait also means, in the Hebrew word kavah, it means to expect. Another thing it says, it talks about gathering together. It means to look. When you're waiting, you're looking. It means patiently. It means tarry, to wait for, to wait on, to wait up on. And so it literally, if we take that word in the Hebrew, what it means in this context, it means to take time or to linger in his presence and to go where Jesus is, and for you to have a gathering. That's the root word, is that it's a gathering. And what's the gathering? It's the twisting. It's the saying, hey, Jesus, you and me have an appointment. That's what gathering. And then it says, after you gather with your King of Kings, with your Savior, then you bind yourself together with him. Like it means, Jesus, get in here, because you and me, until I get out of this waiting room, I am going to tie myself around you, Jesus, and you're not leaving this waiting room until the waiting room is done. I read in one commentary, they were like, it's taking a knot. It's saying this is you and this is Jesus. And we're going to bind together. We're going to wait upon the Lord. I'm going to tie myself into Jesus. This is what waiting looks like. like? It looks like this knot where it is one, it is Jesus and me twisted together, and we're not getting out of this until my name is called out of the waiting room. Those who wait upon the Lord. See, John 15:5, it made me think about this verse when I thought about being tied into Jesus. Jesus refers to himself. He's speaking about himself in John 15:5. He says, I am the vine. In case the rope doesn't work for you, here's another illustration. I am the vine. You, me, are the branches. So the one who remains in me and I in him produces much fruit. Because, listen to me very closely. Actually, just listen to the Bible really closely. And in fact, why don't you just say this with me? You can do nothing without me. You can't wait in a waiting room without Jesus. You're not going to make it. So it says, I read one place, you are not waiting like a person waits for a red light to turn green. You are lingering in his presence to intertwine yourself together with him. You know, this past weekend, I got to host a baby shower for one of my dear friends, Sandra. Jason, our Cumberland County coordinator, it's his beautiful, beautiful wife. If you look for the most beautiful woman in the room tonight, that's Sandra. And she is going to have a baby girl in about 8 weeks. I am so excited. We also have our 7-week-old baby serving. Our 7-week-old baby is serving in the production center tonight. She's actually serving with her mom, but she's back there. So, but these women, both of them know pregnancy right now, or she did know it 7 weeks ago. So I started thinking, waiting, it's an active thing. It's just like pregnancy. Pregnancy is 40 weeks, and 40 weeks seems extremely excessive to me. But in 40 weeks, I didn't just sit around and wait. I was preparing. I need to get a room set up. I need to get a car seat installed. I need to get some meals in my freezer. I need to make sure I had diapers and wipes. I need to get my work schedule arranged. I was actively waiting. Something I need to tell you guys about, and this is where this message is just going to get fun. So, this past year, our family decided that we wanted to raise hens for fresh eggs and to have as pets, okay? So I want to tell you that our baby chicks were born at the end of February. And then we had so much fun with those, we decided to get more. And they were born in the middle of March. So here's what you need to know. Since we don't really live in a farm community, you guys are all going to be farm girls when you leave here today. But what you need to know is that it is too cold for little baby chicks to live outside in February and March. So they lived in our home with us. Specifically in our basement. And it was great. It was so much fun until they started growing feathers. And we noticed that when we picked them up, about 2 weeks old, these little things flew out of our hands. Who knew chickens could fly? Just tell me you learned something new tonight, because I did not know this. I was raised in New York. I don't know anything about chickens. I was like, what is this thing doing flying? And I have 10 of them living in my basement. So what I need you to know is that they're actually not very good at flying, and they don't fly very high, but they can fly up and over a fence. So they can fly, 6-10 feet, or they can fly into a tree branch, and it's actually their primary way of getting away from predators. Now, I need to introduce you to Diane, who is my chicken mentor. She's sitting in the second row right behind me, And she's the one that got me into this. She kind of heard, and so she is my chicken's mother, and I'm just like their aunt. So Diane, I call her a lot to talk about our chicks, and she told me I was going to have to clip their wings. So I was at her house one day, and she got a chick, and she got her scissors out, and she showed me how to do it. And the whole time I'm sitting there saying, yep, God, you're definitely going to use this one. Now, I want you to know a couple of things before we get into this, just in case there's some serious animal lovers here, and we are one of them. I want you to know that Diane is a pro, and she does not hurt the chick, and these chickens live very, very good lives in my home and in her home. In fact, our kids probably don't have college funds right now, her grandchildren, because it all goes to the chickens. In fact, our chickens' homes are probably nicer than the homes that we live in. So these chickens are living their best life. But I do want to let you know that clipping their wings would be the cruelest thing you could do to a chicken who lives in the wild. It would actually be their death sentence, because it would only be a matter of time before they would be preyed upon. See, their wings is what allows them to escape from predators. And here is what I know, is that many wings get clipped in the waiting rooms of life. See, I think that Satan knows when we're most vulnerable to sin. I believe most of us are most vulnerable when we are sitting in life's waiting rooms and discontentment starts to settle in. See, 1 Peter 5:8 in the Passion Translation says this: be well balanced and always alert, because your enemy, you have a predator. You are prey. The devil roams around incessantly like a roaring lion, looking for its prey to devour. So if you see on your screen right now, they actually probably took it off, but in the Bible, I use BibleGateway.com to study for my messages, and right there's a little parenthesis B, and it tells me that there's a footnote at the bottom if I want to look it up. And so in that letter B, it says to me this for devour. It says the implication in the context is that if you do not bring your worries, we're talking about the waiting rooms of life. God hasn't come through for you. You're waiting for something. So if you don't bring those worries and those cares to God, the devil will use depression and discouragement to devour you. It says, just as lions go after the feeble, the young, and the stragglers, so the enemy of our soul will always seek out those who are isolated, alone, or depressed to devour them. I believe that the waiting rooms of life make us feel very lonely. They make us feel very isolated, and we become easy prey for the enemy. See, John 10:10 in the Passion Translation says this: a thief has one thing in mind. And when it's referring to the thief, it's referring to our predator, which is Satan. And it says he wants to steal, he wants to slaughter and destroy. But I have come, we're talking about Jesus. Jesus has come to give you everything in abundance, more than you expect, life in its fullness until you are overflowing. But I think the problem is that when we're sitting in waiting rooms, at least this is my problem, is I start trying to come up with ways on how I can get out of that waiting room quicker. Do you know what I'm saying? Like clicking my nails, tapping my foot, thinking that'll help, like the doctor, like, hi, we're here, did you forget about us? Or have you ever been put, this is before COVID, have you ever taken your children to the pediatrician's office, or you've gone to a doctor's office, and they put you in the patient, right in the room to see the doctor, and you think, oh, any moment now, the doctor's just gonna come in. And it's really, they just ran out of room in the waiting room, and so they're just putting you in another room. And so all of a sudden, you feel like you're in jail, like you've just been put in isolation and no one's coming in to visit, no one's coming in. And so I have done this. I'm the most impatient. I will just open up the door and like stick my head out. Hi, I'm here. I've been here maybe 45 minutes. Food, water, air, fresh air, anything. Can I open a window? Right? We start trying to figure out, how can I get out of this waiting room? So I want you to know that the enemy clips our wings, and how it's by tempting us. Sin is ultimately what clips our wings. It's your flight wings is actually the technical term for it, and it means that you are no longer able to fly. You know, there's a story of Abraham and Sarah in Genesis that says that they were not able to have children, and at 75 years old, 75 years old, God makes a great promise to them, and part of that promise is that they're going to have children. Now, this is something they had waited for their entire life. They had been in the waiting room for 75 years. In fact, they probably thought that waiting room passed about 30 years ago, 40 years ago, right? And but God shows up and says, no, you are going to have children, and you are going to be the father of great nations. And it's an incredible promise, right? But here's what happened. God didn't put a timeline on the promise. He didn't say to Abraham and Sarah, you're going to have a child in 25 more years. No, he didn't say that. He just said, you're going to have a child. And they're probably thinking, well, let's just do some simple math. I'm 75, she's 75. That means this is going to be happening quick because, we're way past the season, right? God had different plans. So the story says that 14 years later, they'd waited for 14 years. She got impatient. And Sarah thought, I know he promised that, but I think I can help him out. I think I'm a tad bit smarter than God. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find a woman for Abraham to sleep with. And they can have a baby. That baby's name was Ishmael, because they couldn't wait any longer. And so they devised their own plan. If there is anything that you get from tonight, if there is anything you write down tonight, if there is anything that you take away from tonight, please remember this one thing. They wanted the promise more than they wanted God. They wanted the baby more than they wanted God. Can I tell you what happened? I hope you can go and you've read it, or maybe you reread it. But Ishmael, it was disastrous. Disastrous. It was disastrous on their marriage. It was disastrous on that woman that he slept with to have this baby. And it was disastrous for Ishmael. There was so much trauma involved in this story. There was trauma with Sarah. She became angry and bitter every time she saw her husband and this woman, Hagar. There was trauma with Abraham. There was shame. Man, I screwed up. I didn't do what was right. There was shame with Hagar, thinking, how did I just get manipulated into this story? And now I look like the bad person. And now there's an Ishmael that's not even the promised child. And so who is this illegitimate child? There was a lot of clipped wings that happened in that moment. There was a lot of pain that was not necessary. But that is the consequence for not actively waiting on God. So I want to ask you a question, and I know you probably don't know the answer, and this is where I get to educate you in farm life. I never thought I would say this. So what happens to a chicken when you clip its wings? I'm so glad you asked, because Google told me. And I checked a lot of different sites on Google to make sure this is correct. So one of two things. One is you have to wait until the chicken molts and grows new feathers. Or two, you have to pluck the clipped feathers, which I read is incredibly painful for the chicken and could cause bleeding, and then an ointment would be necessary to avoid infection. That plucking of that feather out reminds me of Matthew 18, 8-9. It says, if your hands or your foot causes you to fall away, cut it off and throw it away, because it's better for you to enter life maimed or lame than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown into the eternal fire. Do you hear me? If the devil has tempted you and sin has clipped your wings, it is going to be painful, but you might need to pluck the wing so that you might go into life a little maimed and but at least you're gonna get through this life and make it into the eternal life ahead. The verse 9 says this, and if your eye causes you to fall away, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into hellfire. Sometimes you got to pluck the clipped wing. What does that mean? That means if your phone is causing you to stumble, you need to throw it out. You need to gouge it out of your life. If you are involved in a toxic relationship that causes you to stumble after stumble after stumble, then it is time to clip the wing. Get it out. Pluck it out. Yes, it is going to hurt. Yes, you are going to bleed. But my gosh, you are going to make it better than if the enemy just comes and puts you down and puts you down. You have become complete prey for the enemy. No wonder we have depression. We keep going back. We keep going back. We keep going back. There are so many times that I've been able to talk to women that are involved in addictions, some of them in our prison system, some of them in rehab facilities. And every single time, the story is so similar. And as soon as they give me the storyline, I think in my heart, oh God, it's over. Because they'll go to me, and the amazing thing is I get to see the best version of them in jail or in rehab, because the best version of them is their sober selves. And when they've had time to think and they're off of they've completely detoxed and they're thinking right and they're thinking straight, and they say, oh, I'm just so excited to go back into life and to go back into reality. And I say, that's awesome. What is your plan? Well, my boyfriend, he told me he has straightened up and he misses me so much. Was this boyfriend a user before? Yes, but he is clean now. Right, okay, you're gonna go right back. You're gonna go right back. You gotta pluck the wing. Pluck it. It's not worth it. Yeah, I'm gonna be lonely. Yeah, you're gonna be lonely. But you know what? You get yourself into a connect group, and God will replace many times over. But what I want to tell you in this situation with Abraham and Sarah is it wasn't plucking. Abraham and Sarah went through a molting season. What is molting? After I read this, I'm like, so what exactly did we get ourselves into? My goodness, these animals are complicated. So now you're going to know what molting is. This is from Google. Molting is when a chicken starts to shed or lose its old feathers and grows new ones. Throughout the year, a chicken's feathers break, they get dull, and they get damaged. After this year, how many of us feel like our feathers have gotten dull, have gotten a little damaged, and it would kind of be nice to get rid of those right now and to get some new ones? It says this: molting is nature's way of protecting your chickens. New feathers come in to give better insulation and better coloring for attracting mates. Chickens look, and they put it in caps, chickens look horrible when they are molting. So I'm not making this up. So if your chickens look like death, it very well could be the start of molting season. How many have said, I am going to die if I have to wait one more day on God to come through? I don't know if I can make it one more week in this job. I don't know if I can make it in this marriage one more hour. I am about to die. Do I look like death? Because I feel like death. How many have ever been there before and you're thinking, I can't do this waiting room anymore? I can't. It says this: molting can be a painful process. So most chickens don't like to be held at all while losing and regrowing their feathers. What I also learned is that they lose their feathers many times in the fall because thicker feathers come in to insulate them for the winter. See, you might feel like your waiting room has you looking horrible and looking like death, but just maybe God is allowing all the clipped wings, all the old nature, all the past decisions that you've made, everything that you've done to fall off. Because in the waiting room, he's about to grow new feathers. And it says that these feathers give better insulation. They're more comfortable. They're more cozy. And that they allow you to attract better mates or better friendships or better relationships. That you don't need to be in toxic relationships anymore. That your new feathers that God's given to you are going to attract other hens very similar to you that are going to say, oh, I like those feathers. I want to know what have you been eating to get those feathers? What's your calcium intake been? So from Ishmael's birth, Abraham and Sarah went through 16 additional years of what I would say is a molting season. But the promise came to pass. See, they messed up big time. They clipped their wings. They clipped Ishmael's wings. They clipped sweet Hagar's wings. But they fell off. And a new season came. And God said, my promise still stands. And Isaac was born, the promised child. So the question is, do you want an Ishmael or do you want an Isaac? I would propose that we need to get more comfortable with seasons of waiting. And we need to learn to wait well. See, Philippians 4:13 says, I've learned by now to be quite content, whatever my circumstances. I'm just as happy with little as I am with much as with little. I have found the recipe for being happy, whether full or hungry, hands full or hands empty. Whatever I have, wherever I am, I can make it through anything in the one who makes me who I am. This week, my husband, who I just love it when he comes to IMAGO Day, so thank you. He's like my emotional support. But this week, we were doing a really hard workout. We work out together in the mornings, and we had a ton of reps to get done in a short amount of time. But every 2 minutes, we had to stop our workout and hold a plank for 1 minute. And if we put our knees down or rested instead of holding that plank, we were penalized with having to do burpees in addition to the workout. And so the trainer said to us, you can do this. Your body is totally capable of this. See, he spoke something to me I didn't believe about myself. He said, I, the trainer, am here right now to train your mind, not your body. You need to be able to endure discomforts. Come on, I'm listening. He said, if you can mentally get past discomfort, you will find on the other side an incredible breakthrough. Don't put your knees down. Don't put your knees down. And he says, in fact, I'm going to tell you that you have 80% more strength than you know you have. And tapping into that strength is exhilarating. Do you want to know what that feels like? It feels amazing. So I'm telling you, you can do this. You can hold that plank. You can stay in this waiting room. Do not put your knees down, or I'm going to make you do so many burpees, you're going to hate me for the rest of your life. And do you know what? He was right. But if he would have not penalized me with burpees, I would have put my knees down because I was so uncomfortable. But can I tell you, he made us do things I never dreamed I was capable of. Like things I'm like, I seriously cannot believe we did 500 reps of that. That man is out of his everlasting mind. But can I tell you, I went around today and I was like, my legs are not sore. That is crazy. My legs are not sore. If I could do 500, I bet I could do 1,000. If I could do that, I can do this because I learned to get comfortable with discomforts. Here's what I want you to know. Some of you feel like you can't endure anymore. Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And here's what I want to tell you. When you tap into God and his strength in the waiting room, it is exhilarating. It is a strength like you have never experienced before. It is a strength that will make you soar. And we're going to get there in a minute. Getting comfortable with the discomfort of life's waiting rooms, because this is what I want you to know, that at some point, the door is going to open to the room, and your name's going to be called. It's your turn. The promise is coming forward. As we saw today, your bloom's about to bloom. Like the season we're in right now, I personally think it's ugly. I don't like April, actually, at all, except for my birthday. The trees are still bare. I see some growth, but there's little things like poking out of the ground. But my bushes and my trees, they're bare. I mean, yes, there's cute little blooms, but that's it. It's coming. And I want you to know I'm in a waiting season, but I'm actively waiting, and I'm preparing for the harvest. So I've been out weeding. We've been mulching. We've been fertilizing. We've been putting lime down on our lawn. Sometimes I think back and I start daydreaming about last summer, and I start thinking, soon you're going to look beautiful. Soon, little yard, you're going to be lush again. Soon, tree, you are going to be amazing, and I'm not even going to be able to see my neighbor's house. Soon, there's going to be some big hydrangea flowers on here, but it doesn't look anything like that right now. See, the Message version of Isaiah 40:31 says this, but those who wait upon God get fresh strength. And then it says they spread their wings and they soar like eagles. They run and they don't get tired. They walk and they don't lag behind. Here's my second and final point. Soar. See, soaring is something that a human does not have the ability to do. We can walk, we can run, we can jump, we can skip, we can crawl, but we cannot soar and we cannot fly. The only time I have gotten to experience what it would be like to soar was when I went to the Animal Kingdom in Disney World. And I got to go on my favorite ride at Disney World, which is Avatar Flight of Passage. In case maybe you've watched that movie, maybe you haven't, Avatar, but to kind of give you a description of what this ride is that Avatar, it allows guests to link with an avatar, to fly on an icon, I'm probably saying that wrong, known as a banshee by humans, to partake in the Navi's tribal coming-of-age tradition. I think they have a picture of this. And I will never forget, for whatever reason, at the time we went, it was kind of a new ride, and they weren't giving out all these fast passes. So we were told, like, you want to jump the rope. And if you've never been to Disney, we'll tell you all about jumping the rope. We'll give you all the hints. But they're probably not doing it right now. But we made a dash for this because the line is so long. And I remember we got in line. We didn't really know much about it. But the guy behind me, he was so excited. He grabbed my shoulders. And I'm like, this is so weird. And he said, are you so excited for this ride? And I go, I've never been on this ride. He goes, oh my goodness, you are in for the best ride at Disney World. And I was like, really? And he's like, there's nothing like it. And I was like, I hope you didn't just ruin it for me because you've got my expectations like here right now. And he didn't ruin it. It's true. You get on that dragon thing, and it's complete Disney magic virtual reality, where you get on that and you actually think you are riding that banshee. It actually breathes on your leg. You can actually feel, you're like, oh, that's fine. No, it is real. Like, you are like, what in the world? You get put into this place, and if you go to the next picture, I try to find, of course, pictures do not serve this, but it is a beautiful land, the Avatar world, that you get to fly through on the banshee. And part of it is they're taking you on this flight of passage, and your stomach drops because that thing knows how to fly down, and then it comes up, and meanwhile you're not really moving too much, but the reality is crazy, and you go side to side. And I was scared to death at the beginning, scared to death, because I felt all these weird things happening in my body, and I don't like heights. And me and my banshee he liked to jump off cliffs, and I was like, whoa. And I felt the Lord say to me, girl, just be free. Just free. This is the only time you're ever gonna fly. Look around. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, I can do this. And I looked around and went, whoa, this is cool. Flying from this level, this perspective, everything's much smaller below. The perspective of life is so different, seeing the world. Just me. I know what it's like to fly an airplane. That doesn't feel exhilarating at all. It's my worst nightmare. But I think tonight he wants to invite you to say, get on top of my shoulders. Let me be the eagle. Just get on and let's go for a ride. You don't have to run. You're going to run and you're not even going to grow tired. You're going to walk and you're not going to faint, because, girl, I'm going to take you high. I'm going to take you so high, and you're just going to fly, and I'm going to show you things you've never seen before. But you don't get there until he's all you want, until he's more than the prized possession. See, I told you this is a fun message. At least I'm having fun. I don't know. I hope you guys are having fun. But Disney made this so real, you guys. My favorite movie growing up was Aladdin. Come on, let's talk about the magic carpet ride. How many had your first romance experience thinking, oh, I just need to get on a magic carpet ride. I hope one day I marry him and he can take me on a magic carpet ride. I mean, my husband's taken me to some incredible places, but we have yet to go on a magic carpet ride. But I want to tell you, I think that the Lord's given me permission to share this song from Aladdin because he wants to tell you that he can show you the world. It's shining, it's shimmering, and it's splendid. He wants to open your eyes because you don't have to be afraid to look to what's around you. You might have gone through trauma before, but let me tell you something, your future's good ahead of you because you're on the wings of an eagle and nothing's gonna get to you. And before, people might have taken advantage of you and you might have had a mother or father that weren't there for you and didn't protect you in the most vulnerable season of your life. But you don't have to worry about that now because you're a growing woman that's flying on the wings of an eagle called your Jesus, your Savior. And he wants to say, open your eyes. You've been so scared, so intimidated. Your eyes have been down here because you're afraid to look at anyone in their eyes because you have a victim mindset. And he says, now we're flying high on the magic carpet ride. Open your eyes and see what's around you. It's beautiful, it's safe, and it's glorious. He said he's going to take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways, and under, on the most amazing ride of your life. He said it's a whole new world. It's a fantastic point of view. It's a dazzling place I never knew. But when I'm way up here, it's crystal clear that now I'm in a whole new world with you. It's unbelievable sights. It's an indescribable feeling. I'm soaring. I'm tumbling. I'm freewheeling through an endless diamond sky. It's a whole new world. And Aladdin says, don't you dare close your eyes. It's 100,000 things to see. Hold your breath because it's only going to get better. I am like a shooting star. I've come so far. Those that wait upon the Lord. But you guys, this is where it was like Jesus just said, and now let me just kiss this message. The Passage translation of Isaiah says this, but those who wait for Yahweh's grace, Yahweh is the Hebrew name for God, will experience divine strength. They will rise up on soaring wings and they will fly like eagles. They will run their race without growing weary, and they're going to walk through life without giving up. And as I was ending this, there was a little A, which means there's a footnote. And you are not going to believe what this footnote said. It says, or will grow new feathers like eagles, or renew their strength. I was like, God, you were talking about molting. You were talking about in Isaiah that when the wings get clipped, sometimes you allow those wings to grow and to fall off. And there's a waiting season that comes. But what it means is that when we experience divine strength, that we are going to grow new feathers. I want to tell you what happens in the waiting room of life is that right now, if you're waiting, this is an active time that you are growing new feathers. But here's what I want to tell you. You're in the best season. Because waiting means you get all of Jesus like you've never gotten him before. I'm just going to end with this. This is not in my notes. I'm actually done. But this week, the enemy tempts us so many ways. That's his job. It's his job. We read it. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And the enemy just put something parading right past me that made me look that way. And I was like, ooh, maybe that's something I want. Maybe that's something I desire. Maybe that's something I should work for. Maybe that's something I should strive for. Maybe that's something I should, I'm not good enough. Look how they've achieved so much more. I guess I'm not doing as well as I thought I was. I guess I'm failing in a lot of areas now. So how did they get that? Okay, maybe I should study what they're doing. And all of a sudden, God's way over here, and I'm just like following the little baits to get into a lonely, isolated place and kind of coming up with schemes in my mind, like how can I get this that I want? And God says to me, do you want that or do you want me? What's more important? Do you want riches, experiences? Or if you had all of that, or you could choose being right now, tonight, in my presence, and I show up in your room, and you get to experience me in an intimate way, where I go and you tie yourself to me, and we're close, and we're intimate. What matters more to you, Danielle, the waiting room or the things this world has to offer? And I said, oh God, I want nothing to do with that, because if it means that that's what I get, but I don't get you, I want you more than anything, because you fill me like nothing else fills me. You restore me like nothing else restores me. And so I want you to know, if you're in the waiting room of life tonight, you are in a good place, because it's an active season of He's not making you wait because He's trying to cause you punishment, but He's wanting to put you in a season of waiting because He wants you to get to know Him, and He wants you to know Him and Him to know you. And He's saying, come. Let's go deeper. I want to have a more intimate relationship. I'll give you all the things. I'll give you the promises, but more than the promises, oh, I want you, daughter, and I want you to want me more than you want the promise on the other side of that door. And so, as Abby sang that song, nothing else. Nothing else. I just want you. God, actually, if all of life is just waiting on you to come until I get to meet with you in heaven, that's so good, because there's nothing else in this world that I want than Jesus. There is nothing else in this world that I want except for Jesus. There is nothing else I want in this world except for Jesus. If I have Jesus, I have everything. If I have Jesus, I have healing of my mind. I have healing of my heart. I have healing in my body. If I have Jesus, I have the best friendship that a girl could ever want. If I have Jesus, then I can see the world in a way that nobody else can see the world. Can I tell you, if you are in a waiting season right now, can I tell you to go after Jesus? In fact, I would encourage you where you are right now as they lead us in. If that's you and you're in a waiting season, why don't you come up to these altars and get on your knees and say, God, I don't want it.